Nigel. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone that is attending and anyone who will be listening in today or at a later stage. My name is Ameera Lee. I am a Paralympian. I am a mother. I work full time and I'm living in New South Wales. So I work full time Monday to Friday for forensic medicine, which it's with New South Wales Health. It has its challenges working full time, but I will talk about that later. Let's see, I will start. I was diagnosed in 2012 with MS. So I was living in Dubai at the time. I was living there for 4 years, and I felt half of my face went numb. So I it was like that for a few weeks, and then one morning I woke up and I felt like I was dribbling. If I thought it felt like a stroke. I don't know what a stroke is, but my face was moving, my legs were hurting, it felt numb. So I went into the hospital, and things work really quickly overseas. Within 2 weeks, I was diagnosed with MS, and so I was offered the choice to start methylprednisolone if I wanted a treatment. So I did that for 5 days and then started a treatment. I think it was I've forgotten. It feels like such a long time ago, but I just gave myself injections for the MS as a treatment. So as time went along, I moved back to Australia about 3 years later. And and when I came back to Australia, I went into New South Wales MS study, is what it was called at the time. And it was very interesting. It was a facility, a live-in facility as well. So that's where I was able to have a look at options and choices that I can make going forward with the MS diagnosis. So that was very interesting and very confronting, I have to admit. When I did have the diagnosis, the neurologist in Dubai said to me, "Well, I'm letting you know you have MS. Do you know what that is?" Of course, I knew what it was. In primary school, I did the MS readathon, which quite a lot of you may have heard of, and that was the extent of my knowledge. So it wasn't until I went to the MS study in Sydney that I started to obtain more information and learnt as much as I could. But that was great. That was very helpful. So when I was diagnosed, after speaking to MS Australia, what you want to do is I was looking at symptom management. So for the most part, it was numbness of my body. I was uh, I was still mobile. I was still walking around. You wouldn't know that I had MS, so that was just a case of symptom management. Uh, there wasn't a whole lot other than just the usual MS medication that I had. Hi everyone. Sorry, I can see more of you now. Let's see. So that was MS, and I had a young child at that stage. So it's being a parent as well. Anyone who's a parent knows how interesting it can be having a toddler running around the house once they're mobile. So that was fun. So I guess as the years went past, in 2016, my son, as a primary school age child, you want to get your children into different sports. You want them to try and find something they enjoy. So he used to do swimming every weekend. And as a person with MS, swimming is quite helpful. So for swimming, so whilst my son was doing swimming lessons, I'd be in the lap lane and just swimming up and down, well, relative, maybe walking up and down the swimming pool, but it's helpful as well, especially in summer because it is hot and I'm heat intolerant. Everyone with MS has different symptoms. For me, heat intolerance can be quite challenging. So I'd be swimming up and down. And when we were leaving one day, my son noticed, and I noticed a sign saying archery, try archery. So that was also at Sydney Olympic Park. So off we went during the school holidays, and he tried it. And they said the parents can try it as well. So there I was. I tried the archery as a standing archer. I had fun. So I got the bug. My son continued archery a few months, and then he retired because little people know everything, and he did, he's had his time, so fair enough. So he went to other I guess activities, if you will. But that's where my archery journey started as a standing archer with recurve. There are different types of bows, and so I started with the traditional. And I had a man came over to me one day on the range because I had so much fun. If you think about it, you've got the open, you've got the green grass, especially when you're living in Sydney and it's just all buildings. So it was just nice. It was natural. It was downtime, especially because I'm working full time. And this man came over to me and he introduced himself and he said, "Hi, my name is Richard Chia. I'm the coach for this club. I've noticed you're here every weekend. Would you like to join one of the teams?" And I thought, well, okay. And he did ask me, "Where would you like to go with archery?" And it didn't bother me. I was out there, I was doing something for myself. You need to give yourself the allowance to do something that you enjoy, that's good for yourself and good for your soul. So I said, wherever it takes me, having no idea that years down the track that I would be representing Australia and let alone representing Australia at the Paralympics. Something small which was underestimated. And I was in my 40s when I started archery, by the way. So I'm happy to share my story with anyone that wants to listen. Age or ability is should never be an issue. Be creative, get inspired, and never give up. And I've spoken to Nigel before about this. So uh, you will hear me jumping to and fro, and I do apologize. It's my MS brain. But yeah, so, and that's where I started with archery. And as years went down the track, I represented Australia in 2018 for my first competition. Uh, Around about that time, you can imagine so there were 70 meters that I was walking to and fro to collect arrows. I started to have falls. So we have a quiver and we have the arrows sticking out of the quiver. And then every now and again, I'll be collecting arrows and just fall. There was a few, I'll tell you a story. There was a day that I was walking down to the target to collect the arrows, and I had a fall. I felt myself falling forwards. It's just like the whole of gravity just had me falling forwards. And then I started rolling. So I thought, I can do this. I did gymnastics when I was little, like 30 years ago. So I thought I'll roll into it nicely. So I did. I'm happy. I had a few arrows there, but I did a nice roll on the grass. I'm sitting on the ground on my back, and one of the archers they came running over and said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, obviously I fell down, but it's okay. I rolled it out really nice and eloquently." And they're standing there scratching their head, and one of the archers said, "Yeah, I wouldn't say that was exactly elegant or graceful. That was more you jumped in a heap." So as the time went on, my coach, by that time I'd progressed into the para team as well for archery. The coach said to me, "Look, you are having a lot of falls. Maybe we should look at you using a wheelchair or a stool." So that's where I progressed to starting to use the wheelchair more often and where I started shooting from the wheelchair. Uh, an interesting thing about that, I did have a big fear of the transition into a wheelchair. I have a child, and how is he and how is his friends going to look at me being, my mum's in a wheelchair? We know children sometimes, and people, unfortunately, can be quite judgmental, or they're looking at life as from their lived experiences. And, if you haven't had that wheelchair, I was so worried about how my son would see me being in a wheelchair. Uh, I had a few weeks when I did start with it. I had a few of the archers with me at the archery team. I was sitting on a chair. My son was there. They grabbed the wheelchair and they started having races with it. my son suddenly, I saw his eyes light up like, oh, it's another mechanism, another way for mum to get around. And yeah, so once he saw that, he came over and he said, "Can I have a race too?" And I said, "Sure." So, it's just opening up the mind and the mindset to, sometimes people need a little bit of help and adjustments to get things done or to get around. It might be a walking stick. So I was transitioning a lot more between walking stick and wheelchair at that stage. When I was on the range, I was only in the wheelchair to the point where I didn't really use the walking stick much anymore. I was more so in the wheelchair. I In saying that, probably a few months later, my son, after we went shopping, because I'm in the wheelchair now, I was using the wheelchair for shopping. Uh, we came home and my son said to me, this is a primary school age child. He said, "You are so much happier with the wheelchair." Now, I'm not advocating that everyone should just go and jump in a wheelchair, but what I came, what I became mindful of is that whilst being in the wheelchair and doing the shopping, just day-to-day shopping at Woolworths, uh, I found that because I'm light intolerant, heat intolerant, I can't control my body temperature, and also the fatigue from walking around when we were doing the runs without the wheelchair, it was exhausting me. So once I started using the wheelchair, there was still with that light intolerance, but my energy levels I'd have so much more energy because I'm not exerting all that energy trying to walk, trying to what I perceive to look like everyone else. It was just, I just thought I would share that because it's that realization. It was so humbling. It was so heartfelt. Uh, and it was, in terms of my mindset, to look at things from a different lens, that the wheelchair was actually helping me. And it's okay to have a walking stick. It's okay to have a wheelchair. And if it's something that helps you, uh, to not have that fear of using that. So now I call it my princess chair. My son is happy, I'm happy, and yeah, it's been very helpful. So I just flipped, I guess, in my mind how I look at myself using a wheelchair, and it's there to be used. And now I have a smart drive as well. For those of you who don't know what it is, so I have a standard wheelchair and I clip in a smart drive. It's a little motor and it has a speed dial. So that helps me get around the shopping centre as well. So I get to save even more energy. But yeah, so that was pretty much my journey into being a wheelchair archer. And yeah, so over the years with archery, I started doing international competitions. Uh, Bearing in mind, remember, I started archery over the age of 40. And so I thought, that's it, there's no more traveling for me. It's just a basic lifestyle. And I could never have dreamed that I would be traveling to a different country every year to represent Australia. And in 2000, I'm really bad with dates at times. It's the cognitive load. 2024 is the Paralympics. 2023 or 24, I competed in Czech Republic to win a spot for Australia for the Paralympics. So very fortunate to have won a spot there and then competed in Paris.
Can I ask you, Ameera, how you cope with the heat when you're traveling and at home in Australia or when you're competing?
I have a lot of ice packs. So I also have a vest. So I was able to pick up a vest from Job Access for work. But in terms of competing, uh, a neurologist mentioned to me respectfully when I first started doing archery, I think you're spending a bit too much time out in the sun because there's no sun protection. You don't get any more in the sun than sitting in the sun for 3, 4, 5 hours in a day. Uh, but what we've found works is I have ice packs. You'll get little gel packs, little squares or the oblong ones, oblong, and I'll have those, and I have them in the freezer. We just keep recycling them. I have a little hack. And because I am in the sun, I do have a hat on. I put one of those ice packs on my head and then put the hat on top of it. So I'll have an ice pack on my lap, or when we're in between collecting arrows, I stay on the line and people will collect my arrows. I'll have an ice pack behind my back. That's one thing. I did travel to Thailand, which was probably the hottest competition I've done ever. It was extremely hot. My face looks like a beetroot. I've looked at my coach. They saw my face was red, and I have quite olive skin. So for my face to be red, I was hot, and I was overheating. So they went and did a run for Slurpees and slushies, and that cooled me down. So it just gave me that immediate cool down for my core body temperature. Because I am heat intolerant, I do run the risk of overheating and not realizing that I'm overheating. So what happens when I overheat? My cognitive load goes. My numbness will increase. Any of my symptoms start to pick up. So I make sure the coaches around me know, or people around me know that are close to me, that if sometimes I can get slurry in terms of my speech. I'll have speech. So people will pick up on that and realize that I'm overheating, and they'll get a drink because I won't realize it sometimes. So, and that's how I deal with heat intolerance. In saying that, putting at work, so I do have job access at work. So they've been able to pick up a vest for me because that can happen as work as well. If it's a hot day, then I'll generally have a vest. It sounds a bit counterintuitive to be in the middle of summer and you're wearing a vest, but you dip it in water and you wring it out, and I can put it back on. It's the most incredible thing. And I put the vest on. It doesn't wet your clothes underneath it. That keeps my body temperature cool. So that's how I deal with work and archery as well.
I'd ask around if anybody else has any questions.
Happy to answer any questions. I'm an open book.
Can you talk us a little bit about your exercise regime? I mean, one assumes that to be an Olympic athlete, you have to exercise a lot, and yet being in a wheelchair and with MS, that presumably restricts what you can do by way of exercise.
No, there's no barriers. As being as an athlete, I have a scholarship with New South Wales Institute of Sports. So obviously they have amazing coaches there in terms of the gym. So all of the exercises are based on strength training, strength and conditioning specifically for the sport. Taking it away from the sport I'm very grateful. I've been doing archery for a long time and been an NSWIS scholarship recipient. Also, with work, we had a gym at work because I worked at a different hospital in Sydney, and we had a accessibility to a gym. And I thought, well, it's close to work, I can do that. So I had arranged an exercise physiologist. So this is specifically for my MS because you use it or you lose it in terms of the average person. So uh, at the earliest stages, I was having a lot more issues, different medications. Now I've found a very good medication that does work for me to steady the progression of the MS, if you will. But this is the stage where I was having falls, and I was, to be honest, getting quite anxious. I thought, where am I going with this? Because I'm having more falls. My motor skills are getting worse. I'm having trouble picking things up and dropping them. So we had an exercise physiologist. So the exercise physiologist would meet me twice a week at work. And so we would work on things like gait. That's the walking, motor skills. So it was very specific exercise physiologist in the gym. So doing exercises that will help the muscles do what it needs to do.
I saw somebody walking
There
around
was
with a
a
mic.
question back here. Hi.
Hi. When you're shooting, is your bow attached to your wheelchair in any way? Do you have any form of way of holding it to the chair, or is it free held?
Thank you. That's a very good question. No, it's a standard bow. So in the Olympics or in the Paralympics, you have two bows, one which is a recurve bow, which most people would have seen in movies like the Hunger Games or bow and arrow movies that you would see. And you also have a compound bow, which people who do hunting, they use that type of bow for hunting. It's more mechanical, it has wheels on it. So they're two standard bows. I've used them both. But when I'm competing or anyone is competing, you're not allowed to have the bow touch any of the frame of the stool you're using or the wheelchair. So it's a standard bow. Nigel, if it's okay, I do appreciate in terms of time, but I'm happy to share.
Yeah,
Great, thank you. So I was competing in Paris. We do what's called a ranking round. You do 72 arrows, and that's to put all the athletes into a ranking. So, like tennis, you have your different seeds. The girl who was sitting next to me, I have competed against her before in the past. She has no arms. So we have the same bow type, the same equipment, the same distance. She has no arms. So she shoots with her feet. Same thing. It's not allowed to touch. She shoots from a stool. It's incredible. She's a 17, 18-year-old. But yeah, and she has won one of the competitions before. So when I say that age ability is no barrier, when you're sitting there, and it was quite intimidating for me because I know she's good. And on the other hand, it's like, well, I'm very fortunate to have all of my limbs, and yet she's outperforming everyone. So the dexterity in her feet, she picks up the arrow with her foot, she loads the bow with her foot, she doesn't have anyone to help her, and she shoots the bow.
and
It's incredible.
she still does it without the bow touching the.
Correct. She has to hold the
Yeah.
bow with her foot. Yes. It's incredible. So she sits on the stool and yeah.
I can't imagine how that happens.
There's no there's the ability. It's incredible. So I'm just going to throw one more thing in there. The Para-nationals, my first Para-nationals for Australia, it was mind-boggling. I was a standing archer for my first para-archery competition. I felt so out of place. There are wheelchairs, there are stools, and then there's the vision impaired archers. They have to make sure that, it's all fairness. They have to wear goggles so they can't see. And they're hitting the target in the gold in the middle of the target, and they're vision impaired at 30 meters. It's incredible.
Sorry, I've got a very stupid remark first. This blind archer, they didn't kill too many people on the process of shooting the arrow on the way. Hopefully, yeah. No, I've got a question. When you're traveling a lot, you mentioned that you're traveling a lot from competition to competition. You have to book accommodation somewhere, disability room or something like that. Probably, I don't know. Can you tell more about how you're managing the flights and transferring from flights to hotels or other like Olympic villages or something like that when you can have accommodation?
I don't know whether you could hear that, Ameera.
Sorry, Neil, it was a little bit, yeah, you can see I'm struggling
Yeah,
a little
okay.
bit. It's just a sound.
What Martin was asking was whether you could talk about problems of managing accommodation and flying and things like that.
That's an interesting one. That's a very good one. I've been fortunate enough to have been traveling with a full team and coaches and people to help us. It has its challenges. For the most part, been very fortunate. You'll find that the airports are very helpful if you let them know in advance and say, look, I've got a wheelchair. When you're traveling on an aeroplane with a wheelchair, you let them know that you have the wheelchair, they get the dimensions, etc. Very important to let them know that you are traveling with a wheelchair because they do have a capacity. Sometimes they can only carry 2 or 3 wheelchairs because the wheelchairs do go into the hull. and you don't want to get caught out turning up for a flight and they say, we've got no more room for wheelchairs. Once they do know, then you have the option to go right to the gate of the aeroplane, and they also have aisle chairs as well. So as long as there's that open communication for myself, they're always aware. And I have a smart drive as well, so they need to know that I have that device on board. I usually go up to the gate, and I'm able to. I have once crawled from the gate of the aeroplane to my chair, but it's okay. I'll get there. I'll do what I have to. I don't mind. I didn't have to do that, by the way. They do have aisle chairs. That's me being stubborn. I can do this. Don't worry, I've got this. But for the people who aren't able to get mobile to get out of their wheelchairs, then you get to the gate of the aeroplane, they'll get you an aisle chair, they'll get you to your seat. So that is helpful. You are usually the first on to an airplane, and you're usually the last to get off. So what they do is everybody else gets off the plane and then you come off. So but it is very helpful. The airline's quite good. And you'll see anyone who goes to an airport, you can see they have those extra lanes right at the end when you're at the airport. It's no different. So it's just maybe it's a little bit more beneficial sometimes because they'll push you through quicker having the wheelchair.
And accommodation? What about accommodation? How do you find it in terms of adequacy and organisation?
Again, it's about communicating with wherever you're going, letting them know that you do have a wheelchair. There have been actually a few competitions I've been to, only from experience, where there was no accommodations for wheelchair users. So the coaches have had to lift up and change complete accommodation to somewhere else. You're in the middle of Czech Republic or somewhere else, and the coaches have walked in to have a look and have gone, this is not going to work. There's a step into the shower, or there's 2 steps to get to the first floor. So they've had to. So we've had to do the research just to make sure. And again, the research was done, but it wasn't until you arrived that they've gone, yes, we have wheelchair accessibility, and you get there and there's stairs everywhere. This is so. For the most part, usually it's quite good. There's wheelchair accessible rooms. And if not, they'll make things easy. For example, in the bathrooms, there's some places they'll just get a stool for the shower so people can use them. But for this most part, it's quite good. And accommodations will be made. From my understanding, the Paralympics in Tokyo, that I find a few of the athletes did make a comment that we have some of the athletes are quite big and they're in wheelchairs. We've got actually one of our team, he's 6'7". He's a big unit, but had struggled in Japan getting the wheelchair into the rooms. I think there was 1 or 2 millimeters to get the wheelchairs in, but that was a custom-made built facility for Tokyo. But yeah, that's again, communication is helpful.
Any other questions?
Well, it's really inspiring to see you. Really, when I walked in, I was not expecting that I'll get to meet an Olympic athlete. So really inspiring to hear your story. I just wanted to ask a question that you said that strength conditioning. So how would you describe strength conditioning?
Okay, anything in specifically or just in general?
Just in general.
In general. So in terms of Institute of Sport, so I guess for the upper body portion of things, we'll be the same. I'll be doing lat pull downs, bicep curls, just the standard training. So I did the training twice a week. Now, bearing in mind that I'm on the range 4 days a week and working full time, but it's important. I do enjoy doing the strength and conditioning training. So the upper body for the most part was the same. In terms of the lower body, we do exercises that I guess because I've got the wheelchair, I'm going the wheelchair, so I'm transferring into different machinery. It's more for, how do I say? So I do some of the exercises with a little bit of an adjustment. So it's good. It's handy when you've got a coach with you or exercise physiologist. because everyone is very different. And I can't obviously just jump on a treadmill or that type of thing. You probably can see a bicycle in the background. It sounds weird. You get creative with your training. With the strength and conditioning, I have the coach, but at home, there's some days when I'm not okay. And I've learned to be okay that I'm not okay on some days, and you work around it. So I have the bicycle at home, and I could be at home for a week because I'm not feeling okay, but I don't want to sit there and not do anything. So I can't go out. I'm not feeling okay. So this bicycle, don't think just because I sit there and I use my feet. I've also had times when I sit there and I use it with my hands as a hand wheel. It's thinking outside the box with the training. So the training that I do for archery, the strength and conditioning, predominantly for the most part is the upper body. I still want to keep things moving, and the bicycle has a hook on it, so I can try and get my feet on it, but most days these days it doesn't work as well. But yeah, or I can sit on the ground and do that as well. But yeah, so again, the strength and conditioning is predominantly the upper body, but yeah.
Thank you.
Did that
Thank
answer
you.
your question? I hope. Sorry, it was a very general answer. So no, just while they're sitting, just in that moment. Sorry, Nigel. Exercise physiologist was probably the best thing I ever did. And this is outside of the sports, because it's somebody that you've got by your side to help you with the things that you're struggling with, the motor skills and that type of thing. I still do struggle with motor skills, and it happens with archery as well. So it's just why I shoot so often. I have to learn to work around when sometimes we have a release aid. I struggle because my thumb doesn't do what it always wants to do. So I have to find ways to work around it. I'm going to use this as an example. When you do classifications for sports, you have a doctor and two physios, and they test you. It's exhausting, it's draining. They test your motor skills because they need to categorize you in the correct, put you in the right category for the sport, in all fairness. When I did my first classification, I had a friend come with me. I didn't know what would happen. They're testing your arms, your legs, your strength, your flexibility, your range of movement. And they do a test where they have to hold my hand on a thing, and they said, you do. I'm laughing at myself now. Amos, learn to laugh at yourself. It's okay to laugh at yourself. So you know how they do that test where you put your hand. See, I'm a bit iffy at the moment. And some people can do that really quickly, right? Obviously, I'm having a day where it's not as functional as usual. But they hold your hand and see if you can do that. And you can see my hand is actually shifting now automatically. It doesn't want to flip, but when I have the resistance, you can see I can do it without resistance. But as soon as I grab it, it's like my body's. So the doctor who was with me said, it's incredible. You've obviously had MS for so many years, your body, and it's such a slow progressive rate, your body has learned how to function, how to work around without you even knowing about it. So that's just a little example for those of you who don't have MS. Somebody can look and, be functioning fine. It doesn't necessarily mean they're feeling okay. And there's a fatigue factor into that too. So obviously now I'm fatiguing a bit. The MS is getting a little bit short. But yeah, so I just thought I'd make mention of that. But in terms of that classification, that was very interesting to know. My girlfriend said to me, that's why, because I had dinner at her house one day, that's why you cut funny. I said, what do you mean? Because I had a steak and a fork and a knife. I didn't know I was doing any different. I just, I'm cutting it, and she noticed it. But yeah, so, the body's incredible, and you find ways to work around things. And that's where the exercise physiologist helps. That's where the strength and conditioning helps. The major muscles know how to move, and yeah, so that's helpful. Sorry, I could talk about everything and share everything. I also have a music therapist that I got through MS Australia as well, on LinkedIn.
I have one more question, and that relates to your son. You talked at the start about your son's reaction to you being in a wheelchair, etc.
Yes.
traveling overseas and to competitions, etc., how are you found managing life as a mother in this situation?
I've had my moments, many of them. It's getting that life balance, the life work balance. So I am working full time, so I'm trying to keep people at work happy. Obviously, I want to keep my son happy. So I've had some really good supports around me who have helped at the time, because my primary focus is to make sure that my son still had school, and I tried to put a bubble around him of protection, if you will. His routine doesn't change. So he still has school. Being a single parent as well, he was going to after school care because I was working full time, still am. So it's been incredible. I was fortunate enough he had a primary school and a different area for his after school care. So and that made it best managed, because in my head, my mindset, I know he didn't have school all day and after school at the same school. So, he had balance of friends. He had different activities, and that's the most important. And my son has spoken as well publicly to some events. He has answered the question, and he's been very happy, and he says that he's proud of me, and it's good to see that his mum is doing something. You underestimate that children are looking at their parents and seeing things that they're doing, and it's a big learning curve for them, that it's okay. You can have a school work life balance. So, and it's important to do something for yourself that gives you peace of mind and that creativity.
Can you tell us a little bit about your supports, about informal and formal supports, and which ones you found most important, most useful?
That's a very good question. Me being me, when I was first diagnosed, I thought, okay, I have work, I have myself, I've got this. And as a person with MS, especially when at the beginning stages, I had a lot of fatigue. This is on me, by the way. In general, you can get a lot of fatigue. I did sleep a lot, especially when I was talking earlier about the shopping centre. So I'll go shopping, and when I was walking, come home and sleep for 3 hours. I had no energy. But I have a child, I'm working full time, and I have MS. I've got this, I'll handle it on my own. So that was me and my mindset. And I refuse to let someone in my bubble, because you talk to people and they ask how I am, and I'm fine, just being a bit tired. And the usual response that I will get, yeah, I get tired too sometimes. And it's like, well, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think you understand from my perspective. It's a different type of fatigue. It's debilitating fatigue. I can go up to the shop for an hour, come home, and I need to sleep for 4 or 5 hours. It was debilitating at one stage. So as time went on, and I became an athlete, and with the Institute of Sports scholarship, we had doctors available, strength and conditioning coach, and all the different coaches and psychologists as well. And I have to admit, it was only till last year that I really opened up to the psychologists. But again, that's on me. They're the supports that I had around the sports. With MS Australia, they were very helpful. I also had supports in terms of having a urologist, because with MS as well, too, you can have tummy problems. So it did take me some time to allow myself that space, that it's okay to let people help. Because for quite some time, I thought, well, I'm telling people I have stomach issues, I'm having fatigue, I'm having motor skill issues, but to have people keep pushing it away and saying, oh no, I feel that too. Oh yeah, no, I get that too. Oh, I get a droopy arm sometimes. But MS Australia was incredible, and they did provide the support. Again, urologist, exercise physiologist. As time went on, it's allowing myself that space to utilize those services that I do have. And so the informal supports, I have I have family. Unfortunately, as an athlete, you sacrifice a whole lot as being an athlete. So really I only have time for work, training my son, and trying to do something with him once a week. So I guess in a way my son is informal support. So he we have a routine in terms of, because my cognitive load can be off a bit, I have a little schedule. So we have work once a week. We sit down and we have a family meeting. It's only me and my son, but beside the point, it's still a family meeting. So it's a safe space where we can sit down and say if there's anything that's bothering us, or if there's any issues, or kind of a space to touch down. So it could be that my son will say, oh, you've been a bit tired lately, or I would like to do something with you. And we would do that. So just that safe, open space. So I guess that's been my biggest rock in terms of supports. But again, on the sporting side of things, that was me stuck in my space of I can do everything on my own. And as time went on, especially with the MS, it's allowing your space to being okay that sometimes you're not okay. And it's all right to reach out. It's not a sign of weakness that, you're not feeling okay, to have to reach out to a psychologist or Lifeline, or to make a phone call to a men's line, to anything. It's okay. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's you saying, and this is for myself, I had to be in a space where it's okay to reach out to someone just to get that help.
Thank you very much, and I think that is probably an excellent place to close your talk. It's a very nice reminder that although you're a Paralympic athlete, you are one of us. You're an ordinary person. You have ordinary problems. You have ordinary issues, and to remind people how important it is to be prepared to ask, because
Absolutely.
people will do enormous things in way of assistance and help, and don't object to doing it. So thank you very much for letting us into your life, Ameera. You've really given us a wonderful insight into your personal life and your personal challenges. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much for having me as well.